two videos for you today. This first one is going to be about an amazing technique that I've seen used a lot with high-level strength and hypertrophy athletes. And we all kind of know about exploring different ranges of reps, rep ranges to get a different stimulus. But I like to work in different ranges of motion for the same movement pattern and taking advantage of those different rep ranges. Here is an example from the shoulder workout that I just did, okay? So as you can see, I'm just doing a little bit of dead stop overhead press, seated overhead press. So the bar doesn't go all the way down to my sternum, and it's stopped kind of right around the top of my head, by my hairline really. And I am really loading the weight up heavy because the kind of most sensitive part of that rep range has been taken away. And also, giving the little stop, going from a dead stop, takes away kind of that transfer, that range of motion that you get at the very bottom where you transfer over. You're getting a little bit of momentum and that stretch reflex. So I'm going from a dead stop and I'm just pushing this weight as heavy as possible for 4 to 6 reps. Then I follow that up with this exercise here where I'm doing super deep range of motion dumbbell overhead pressing, because I'm getting that really extended bottom range of the motion and the connective tissue at the very bottom, and then also the super front part of my deltoid is getting stretched and getting involved. But I'm using relatively light weights and doing higher reps and kind of just building up, getting a little bit more conditioning essentially in that area. So I'm taking advantage of two separate rep ranges. I'm taking advantage of two separate ranges of motion for essentially the same movement pattern. Then I followed up with some seated laterals here that take away the momentum and the swing. And you've got a pretty comprehensive shoulder training and workout where I'm really pushing a lot of force development with that first exercise, the dead stop seated. Then you get that full range of motion, and I'm working the stretch position as opposed to the contracted position. I'm really accentuating the stretch position as opposed to the very top, the contracted position. And then followed up with kind of just a basic overall volume exercise. So this is just an example. I like to do that for a lot of different training and for a lot of different body parts. What would be another example? How about I like to go floor presses, really heavy, and then follow that up with like an extreme range of motion push-up. Like elevate your hands on maybe some kettlebells or rings above the normal amount of range of motion you would have in a push-up where you just go down to the floor, really straight. So you get some focus on the stretch position and you get an extreme focus on the flex position. Of course, the contracted position, the flex position at the top usually of exercises, you're going to be a lot stronger. So I'll push the weight. You're a lot less susceptible to injury. So I'll push the weight, big, heavy. Those stretch position exercises like Romanian deadlift, where you're really focusing on that stretched position of the muscle that you're intending to train, like an extreme deep dip or push-up, like that extreme overhead press that I just did, that like deep dumbbell overhead press. These are things where you're accentuating the stretch position. These are not things you want to go and try to beat your buddy with huge weight. These are things that you want to try to really just focus on staying healthy in that extreme stretch position. It really does help with hypertrophy, and it'll help you in that movement pattern regardless of what your goal is. But that's when you want to take it easy and just focus on really feeling that stretch position, as opposed to the contracted position, the very top of a bench press, very top of an overhead press, the very top of a bicep curl where you're contracting. That's all muscles do. That's all resistance training is, in a really oversimplified way, stretching and contracting muscles. So when you're working in that contracted position, that's the time where it's like, okay, let's push the weight a bit. Let's see how heavy we can get and maybe drop the rep range down a little bit, generate some more force. And you're taking advantage, you're capitalizing on different parts of the rep for essentially the same movement pattern. Okay, so it's a very cool technique, and it's something that I use a lot, and I think that you could too. Now, after saying all that, I want you to go to the next video. Thank you.